When we spit into a tube and send it off to a DNA company, we expect fun facts, a little genealogy, maybe a surprise cousin or two. But what if that harmless test doesn't just rewrite your story, it detonates it? Across the world, people are uncovering dark family secrets they were never meant to find. From switched-at-birth hospital scandals, to fertility fraud, to secret lives tied to murder and organized crime, these aren't just shocking, they're real. These are 5 DNA test horror stories that didn't just shake families, they shattered them.
Welcome to Unfolded Enigmas. Victoria Hill, a licensed clinical social worker from Connecticut, sent off her 23andMe kit in 2020 expecting a little peace of mind. Maybe some health markers, some ancestry clarification, nothing more. But what she got back shattered her world. The results flagged a suspicious number of half-sibling matches. At first, she thought there had to be a glitch. How could she be connected to more than a dozen strangers across the country? But as she began digging into the names, one truth came crashing down with brutal force. Her biological father wasn't who she thought. It was her mother's fertility doctor. Dr. Burton Caldwell, a well-known specialist in the 1980s and 90s, had secretly used his own sperm to inseminate patients, without their knowledge or consent. Victoria's mother had no idea. None of them did. This wasn't a medical miracle. It was a betrayal buried in biology. But the story only gets worse. As Victoria began to piece together the family tree, another horrifying detail surfaced. Years ago, in high school, she had dated a boy. They held hands, kissed, even talked about going to prom together. Now, DNA confirmed what no one could have imagined. He was her half-brother. That relationship could have gone anywhere, she said, still stunned. I thank God it didn't. Today, Victoria is just one of more than 20 known half-siblings fathered by Caldwell's deceit. And the number may keep growing. Now she's fighting back, loudly. Victoria is part of a national push to criminalize what's now being called fertility fraud. Because for decades, doctors like Caldwell operated in a legal gray zone, committing ethical atrocities with no consequences. This isn't just a DNA surprise. It's a horror story hiding behind a lab coat. And for Victoria Hill and others like her, the truth didn't set them free, it rewrote their entire lives. They lived just miles apart their entire lives, completely unaware they were living in each other's place. In 2022, 2 women from the West Midlands in the UK, both in their mid-50s, took home DNA tests for fun. One was looking to map her ancestry. The other was curious about her health. What neither of them expected was a discovery that would dismantle their identities. Their results showed something impossible. No genetic match to the parents who raised them. 0. No cousins, no shared ethnicity. Just nothing. At first, both women thought there had been a mistake. But the algorithm wasn't wrong. As they began reaching out to genetic matches through the testing platform, their lives collided. And the unthinkable became clear. They had been accidentally switched at birth in 1967 at a now-defunct NHS hospital in the West Midlands. The 2 women, raised in vastly different cultural and socio-economic backgrounds, had unknowingly been living each other's lives for over 5 decades. One woman had always felt out of place, struggling with questions about why she never resembled her family. The other had chalked it up to quirks in genetics. But the truth? They'd been handed to the wrong parents on the day they were born. A subsequent investigation confirmed the tragic mix-up. The UK National Health Service formally acknowledged the error, and both women are now pursuing legal action. Compensation discussions are ongoing, but no amount of money can restore what was lost. It's like my childhood, my identity, even my parents. All of it was borrowed, one of them said in an interview with the BBC. I don't know who I am anymore. And perhaps the most devastating detail? Their biological mothers have since passed away, taking with them any chance of a true reunion. A DNA test meant for entertainment ended up rewriting 2 lives, and proving, once again, that the truth can be far stranger and crueler than fiction.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
In 2022, Jenna Gerwatowski took an ancestry DNA test with no expectations, just curiosity. She thought she might uncover some distant relatives, maybe connect to her Polish roots. What she never imagined was that her innocent spit sample would crack open a decades-old murder case and expose a horrifying family secret buried deep in silence. The results connected Jenna to a name she didn't recognize, Baby Garnet. The name haunted her. She dug deeper and learned the chilling truth. Baby Garnet was a newborn girl found dead in 1997, discarded in a trash bin in Pennsylvania. The case had gone cold for over 25 years. As investigators re-examined the evidence using Jenna's DNA link, they realized something unthinkable. The baby was genetically tied to Jenna's own grandmother. Yes, her grandmother had given birth in secret. According to case files, Baby Garnet had been born alive, then suffocated and left in a garbage bag behind a convenience store. When detectives ran forensic genealogy through Jenna's ancestry DNA upload, it led straight to her family tree, and to the woman who had carried the shame and trauma in silence for decades. "I thought it was a mistake," Jenna later said. "Then I saw the news story about the baby. My heart sank. I couldn't breathe." Jenna's grandmother, who had long maintained a life of strict privacy, was eventually questioned by police. Though she denied wrongdoing at first, the mounting DNA evidence forced her to confess. She had given birth to the child in secret, terrified of being ostracized by her community and partner. Instead of seeking help, she chose silence, and it cost a life. What makes this story so disturbing is not just the crime itself, but the way it unraveled, through her granddaughter's innocent search for family roots. The case of Baby Garnet is now closed, but for Jenna, the emotional aftermath is just beginning. "I thought I was building my family tree," she said, "but it turns out I was digging up a grave."
In 2017, Linda Ketchum from Glendale, Arizona, took an ancestry DNA test on a whim. Her son had suggested it, just for fun, to explore their roots and see if any distant cousins popped up. It was supposed to be a light-hearted look into her heritage. But instead, Linda found herself staring at results that made no sense at all. There was no trace of her father's side. No Polish ancestry, no cousins from his family tree. Just an eerie silence. Her mother's lineage was present, clear and consistent, but the paternal side? Completely missing. At first, Linda assumed it was a technical glitch. But as she looked deeper and started reaching out to some of her closest DNA matches, an entirely different family tree emerged, one that didn't include the man who had raised her. She had no biological connection to the father she'd known all her life. "I felt like the ground dropped out from under me," Linda said. "I kept thinking, is this a joke? A mistake? Is someone trying to mess with me?" But it wasn't a mistake. After weeks of research, Linda finally discovered the truth. She had been conceived during a brief affair her mother had in New Mexico. The man who raised her, her dad in every way that mattered, had never known. He went to his grave believing she was his daughter. And Linda, she had lived her entire life under a well-meaning lie. What followed was a roller coaster of emotions: betrayal, guilt, grief, and eventually, acceptance. She reached out to her biological relatives. Some welcomed her, others were hesitant. One message changed everything. A half-brother she never knew she had wrote back, shocked but kind. "I didn't know you existed," he told her. "But you're family now." Linda's story is more common than people realize. Experts estimate that millions of people may unknowingly grow up with misattributed parentage. But with the rise of direct-to-consumer DNA kits, the truth is starting to surface. For Linda, that truth didn't destroy her, but it reshaped everything she thought she knew. Paula Colville, a teacher from Scotland, thought it would be interesting to learn more about her ancestry. In 2021, She logged into her newly purchased MyHeritage DNA kit, expecting to find some Scottish or Irish heritage, maybe even discover a few distant cousins abroad. Instead, she opened the door to a decades-old underworld secret. Her results came back with a handful of American relatives, people with no obvious connection to her family. Curious, Paula began reaching out. That's when a man messaged her with a name she had never heard, Dominic Costello. He claimed they were close relatives. But that wasn't the shocking part. He also said Dominic Costello had been dead since the 1980s, at least officially. What Paula learned next felt straight out of a gangster film. Dominic Costello wasn't dead at all. He was a former New York mobster who turned state's witness in a massive federal case against organized crime. After testifying, he entered the U.S. Witness Protection Program, was given a new identity, and relocated overseas to start fresh. That new identity, it led him straight to Scotland. Straight to Paula's mother. Unknowingly, Paula had been raised by her stepfather, never questioning why her birth father's name was absent on official documents. Now she understood why. Her biological father had been a high-level Mafia informant hiding from the very people he helped put away. It didn't feel real, Paula later said. I thought, this can't be my life. This is a movie. Public records confirmed it. After digging through court documents and archives, Paula found sealed testimony, trial transcripts, and even photographs. Everything lined up. The man she'd never met, her father, wasn't just absent. He was erased on purpose. Today, Paula has made limited contact with her American relatives and is still processing the magnitude of what she uncovered. The man whose blood runs through her veins was once hunted by the mob, and now, his past lives on through her. I don't know what scares me more, she said, the fact that he was in the Mafia, or that I found out with a $79 DNA kit. Sometimes, DNA doesn't just trace your roots. It blows them wide open. What started as a quest for clarity became a portal into betrayal, grief, and secrets buried for decades. These people didn't just take a DNA test, they opened Pandora's box. Each kit we casually order online holds the power to tear through generational lies, expose crimes, and force us to question who we really are. So the next time you're about to hit submit on that swab, ask yourself, are you sure you want the truth? This is Unfolded Enigmas, where the truth is never simple, and the past is never really buried.